If you want your music played on Future Hits Radio, all you have to do is head over to our website at futurehits.co.uk/submissions and fill in a little Google form for us. And I'm going to say the wonderful A&R team will review your submission. But
Abby.
I'll review your submission, and if we like it, we'll
I do review them.
Yeah.
I review the unsigned ones. Actually, I do review quite a few, mainly if you say alt rock in your description.
Well, there you go. I'll review everything else, and hopefully you can get your song on the radio, and we'll get it sent to one of our fabulous presenters, and you can hear your song on Future Hits Radio.
And you get priority if you're a patron. Submit your music now. Get on the radio.
Welcome to the Soundcheck podcast. This evening we are joined by Alto Key.
Hello.
Hello, mate.
Thank you for making the journey down in the rain.
It's okay.
That's
Essex
okay.
is a very lovely place at this time of year.
You don't have to lie, it's fine.
Have you come to Essex much?
I think this is my first time.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. See, we put on a show for you. Nice rainy weather in the heart of Southend. So you're welcome.
And we actually staged that car to drive by and splash you as well.
Yeah.
Like, just so you get the full rainy day experience.
That was a treat.
You're welcome. We treat, I guess.
Usually people do come here in the summer and it's all right. Do you know what I mean?
And it's not freezing.
It's not freezing, but today it's definitely, you haven't got the best of it. But yeah, thank you very much for coming in. The first time I met you was actually at our gig at the Old Queen's Head, and you came to support the artists that were there.
I mean, I feel like we all get into music because we actually like music. So it's always nice seeing other people play music as well.
Yeah.
True.
Well, we've had your music on the station for quite a long time now. You've been a regular submitter of tracks. So it wasn't just at that gig. But who was your highlight on that night?
On the spot.
Yeah, I know. I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to put it out there. Because who did you
Gretchen was quite
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a shout.
But
Is
also,
that the only one you
I
can
might be
remember?
biased because she came up to me afterwards and was like, I know you.
I have duetted with you.
That's so cool.
Who's duetted with?
Well, you've done singing duet videos, haven't you?
Yeah, I
That's
do a
how
lot
you
of
kind
social media stuff and people sometimes...
With
like-
Gretchen?
Same.
I don't know if she specifically
okay.
sung with me, but
She
apparently
could've
she saw it and chose not to.
And if you need a review, there you go.
Sorry, Gretchen, if you're listening to this. But yeah, no, it's really great meeting loads of artists, and like I feel like London, it's such a small music scene, and it's always good to like meet other people and be like, I recognise you from something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And do you get that a lot? Because you do have a significantly large Instagram following. God, we should have completed that sentence quicker.
That one can go on the internet, Kieran.
Yeah.
So you have a large social media
you have
following.
A large social media
Yeah.
following. So do you get people recognise you a lot?
It doesn't happen that often, but if it does happen, it's always when I'm at a train station, and because lots of people just walking past, and usually I'll be sitting there like a lemon on the phone to like my dad or something. And this has happened a bunch of times. Now he just thinks I'm making it up. But I'll be like, someone will come up to me saying, can I get like a picture or something like that? And I'll say, oh, sorry, Dad, I've got to go now, you know.
It's one of my fans.
Yeah. But I can probably count the number of times that's happened on one hand. But like, it seems to always happen when I'm on the phone to my dad for some reason.
It's quite cool, though. I don't think I've never had that happen.
Well, I recognise you.
Oh, thanks. Haven't asked for it. Oh, no, you have asked for a picture. That's all right. Yeah, we'll get it after. But do you find that because you have like a big following on socials and stuff, and other musicians obviously supporting other musicians and all that stuff, do you find that it's been a good way to link up with other artists?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I get people just sometimes reach out and just kind of like say, oh, do you want to collaborate or do something together? Like, I think from that point of view, social media is really good, and it's a great way to meet other artists because, you know, we're all doing stuff. We don't always have time to go to like every single person's show, but
Yeah.
at least on social media, it's a quick way to kind of just like ping a message over and be like, oh, I kind of know you, and do you know me, and do you want to do some music together or something?
Well, I think collaboration is probably going to be a bit of an overarching theme here because, like you say, you've sort of been networking out and about in London quite a bit. You haven't necessarily performed much yourself.
No.
But you are performing with other artists and you're making music with other artists.
Yeah, I've to date, I've been an online artist.
Okay.
That's a thing now.
Well, very successfully. If the
Yeah,
Instagram's grown.
Somehow I've wiggled my way into the music industry. But I feel like doing live is such an important part. And I feel what I've been trying to do is kind of meet other artists. And if there's a really great connection, I've been offering to kind of like, I'll be the guy in the background playing piano. It's okay.
Why is that though? Why haven't you taken that step to being almost like the front man, I guess?
I want to really kind of nail it down and know exactly what I'm doing, so that when it comes the right time, it's going to be really good.
Right. Okay.
And I'm not afraid of a challenge, and I could just jump into it right now. But I feel like if you're going to do something, do it right and do it well.
Yeah, I get that. You can obviously play and you can obviously sing. So what is it you feel like you need to get right? The performance aspect of it, or?
I love to like kind of understand more about the crowd interaction and that aspect of it, and how do you keep the energy of the show going, because it's so much more than just playing a song.
Yeah,
there's so much of it's about like the connection you've got with an audience, and I've definitely I've been grateful to get that online on social media, but to translate that to real life, it's weird, like it's like the one is just like a screen and some numbers somewhere and some like flashing lights, and the other is there's a person staring at me and it's weird.
Well, I was going to ask with that, if it's a case that you obviously haven't ventured into that element yet, are you sort of with the gigs that you're very good at networking, obviously coming to our gig that you did at the Old Queen's Head, are you picking up sort of advice from other artists who have been maybe performing more regularly? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, like just like around equipment, and to be honest, just seeing how other people perform, you're kind of like, oh, I could do that. I really like, I could do that sort of thing. And I'm the sort of person I've no matter where I've got to in my career, I'm always opportunistic. And if I see like, I can see how that's going to work, I'm going to give it a go. So I think that's been kind of part of it. It's just kind of like learning from other people a little bit.
Yeah. I came and saw you at Pizza Express in Holborn the other day, Pizza Express Live. You were supporting or playing the piano for Laura Beckwith.
Yeah.
Her absolutely stunning set from Laura, right?
Yeah, she's really, really good.
Yeah. But grand piano situation, beautiful grand piano in Pizza Express Live, right?
Yeah. I want it.
You want it. And this is another issue that you may have, is that it's difficult to carry a grand piano around with you.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as a guitar.
It's also kind of weird because it's made me think about the songs I'm writing, and I've made in the past some really, really big songs with huge sound. And I think actually it's got me thinking about the stuff I'm making this year. Like, how can I do that in a more kind of, I mean, it's not that I necessarily want to have a smaller scale sound, but like it's cool to kind of translate something and then it go into live and it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Versus having like, let's have 200 instruments on this song.
MIDI plugins all around. Yeah.
So I feel like, and that translates so well if the song lends itself to being played live well. If you're having to rely on loads of these other extra things, then it could work as if it's stripped back, but you know, so it's even made me think about my songwriting and reflect. And I'm not the sort of person I don't shy away from trying to like always improve what I'm doing. Like I probably, no matter what, where you think you are in your career, there's always something you can do to improve, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
With if you're writing music more specifically to like a performance rather than sort of a record, I guess, because if you're trying to make it easier for that transition, what is the difference now? Is it a case that you're trying to incorporate maybe more of a band situation, or is it that you're just writing and trying to then piece it together? How are you trying to make it work?
I mean, firstly, it's got to sound really good as like a raw song. Not that, my other songs don't sound good like raw, but it, even more so, I'm thinking about like not having big gaps between melody, or like things where it's like there's not just big gaps between like singing and not singing,
right? And
like thinking about like how would this sound playing it on a piano, because that's kind of my go-to instrument, but if someone was to play it on a guitar, would it sound as good? So it's more
the structure rather than just the instruments and the amount of instruments you'd need on a live set.
Because I've been grateful to connect with people where I've had big kind of almost like orchestra style sounds on my tracks, because I know someone who plays like violin like a billion times and stuff, and that's great, and I really have enjoyed that. But it's also like, what would that sound like if I didn't have?
How do I translate that to an acoustic guitar?
Exactly. Yeah. So I think just thinking about the whole thing has completely made me rethink as well, like what I'm doing, like songwriting as well. So it's a lot of things to think about.
What about the songs you've already got out then? So if you're trying with those, if they were sort of almost like previous thought, And are you trying to make? How are you trying to make those transition into a live performance? Is that been difficult?
I'm always looking at like what's my most popular songs, because I'm assuming people would want to hear those ones. So those ones I'll just like take apart a bit and just bring it back down to like more of a stripped down. Yeah.
See where you go.
Do I need to like speed it up a bit or slow it down? You know, like, I mean, I'm probably not going to massively change the song, you know, because I want people who are like, that's not the same song.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, no, it's definitely got me thinking about a lot of that sort of stuff. And yeah, it's been really cool thinking about it.
With the Instagram side of things, how, I'm just going to ask, how? Because like from our perspective, right? So you can go and follow us at Future Hits Radio and on the _soundcheck pod. But we're growing, and like with Future Hits, it's grown from 1,000 followers a year ago to 4,500, whatever we are now. So we are growing,
but slower than we'd hope.
Yeah, we'd like, obviously slow and steady. It's slow and steady, and we've got numbers in our head that we're trying to aim at. They are totally eclipsed by what you've done. But what has been the process for you to get to? How has that happened, basically?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a combination of thinking about what people want to watch and how do you kind of give people some sort of value. I think with musicians, it's like quite easy just to promote a song again and again and again. And maybe that'll work if it's a really, really good song, or it can really connect. And I've seen people blow up with that strategy as well. For me, I've always thought about, can I make challenges for people to get involved in? Can I do like little sound bites, especially on these like social media apps now? Like you make a little sound bite, lots of people can suddenly use it and you can take off, and that can be a great way. But then I've also like more recently brought it back down to, I really have enjoyed doing that stuff, but I also do want to promote my own music,
Yeah.
So somewhere there's like a balance in between. Yeah, I don't know if that kind of helps.
No, it's interesting because like we've had people that we've dealt with generally that I don't really look at Instagram followers that much. When people are submitting music to us, the only thing I listen to first the thing I look at first is the song, and listen to that. And if we like the song, then it goes on the air. It's as simple as that. So we don't really look at the followings of people and stuff like that. Like I know like some of the artists that we've had on, like Gia Lily's done really well on Instagram and on TikTok and whatnot. Charlie Baker as well. And it's like there are artists who do really well on the platforms.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting to know how that happens, because I know that you hear things, don't you, about, you need to post twice a day, you need to do this, you need to do that. But it completely varies.
Yeah. I do. I mean, if you want my advice on that, like I think there is an element of metadata and all this stuff, but honestly, my experience from like the things I've had go most viral is just been good content. And I know that's like an annoying thing to say, but when things have really connected or resonated, usually you can see some analytics and you can see, people are watching all of this and, like they're not skipping. And I think you have to, one thing you can definitely do is show up regularly. Like if you're going to post, some people maybe only post like once a month or something, and then you're going to get lost in the noise of stuff. But so there's, you can definitely post regularly, but I've never posted, like 2 or 3 times a day or anything like that. And I've never really thought about hashtags to an insane amount or any, those things.
Yeah.
I think all those things can kind of detract from the main thing of like, let's make good content that people want to watch.
So you've never really followed a strategy as such. It's just been very much content.
Yeah, there's definitely a strategy in terms of like when I talk about like the value sort of thing. Like sometimes people want to have someone to sing along with, or there's like a soundbite they want to use. I made one silly little jingle which was like literally saying like who's got the cutest pet on the internet, and I showed my own cats like. But I made it like a musical twist. It wasn't just me like saying it, I was singing it.
Yeah.
And then suddenly loads of people started using it because they wanted to show their own pets. So that's a way where it's kind of like they're using what I've made as a vessel for their own stuff. And we're all on social media trying to kind of get our own personality and who we are across. And if you can kind of combine your music and the stuff that you do with that, then people will want to use your music, or they will want to use like these like things you're making to kind of represent themselves.
If you've got a good personality.
Well, personality.
But that helps.
It does help. It does help. Yeah, likability is really important. But to be honest, I really, and also it's like the most annoying advice you hear. It's always like, oh, just be yourself, be authentic. It's like, and I can imagine anyone listening to this is like, oh, that's like the most annoying advice. But I do
came in
think
for some top tips.
I know. I think be authentic in yourself, but take it to the next level and, like do good lighting, make it so it's not filmed on like a toaster.
Get yourself a Kieran.
Yeah. I mean, it's great lighting in here. You've nailed the lighting.
Affordable though. I say now, right? So not his equipment. His equipment's very expensive, but the lights, not dear. You can get them on Amazon for like 40 quid. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be expensive. If you're looking for the right equipment, as long as it does the job, you haven't got to pay the earth for it. Yeah. So there's a top tip for you.
And this is a weird thing to think about, but you kind of want to be a person that people want to follow and engage with. Like if you're kind of filming, I don't know, your plate of food, which maybe is like a really good plate of food, but it's nothing to do with your music. Like that can be something where it's like, oh, would I follow this person? They're just kind of posting their dinners. And
it must be difficult for artists to try and find the right content because for me, I'm not an artist, right? So I just thought I was going to swear then, but I didn't.
You're welcome.
Good job.
But I just thought, all right, I'll rephrase it. I talk rubbish on the internet. So I can quite easily do things like that and I'll have a laugh and do things like that. And I think that's where, because I can talk, I think that's where my strength is. And I think it's about finding, like you said, about being authentic to yourself and trying to find something that people will engage with. If I started trying to play guitar, they'd all laugh.
Yeah,
I mean, that might be
funny.
good content, actually.
It's happening.
Yeah. It's not.
You heard
right
it
after this.
No, I'm not doing that.
There's one in the corner.
Nope.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's good advice. I know what you're saying. People might just go, oh, whatever, because, just be yourself. But you can tell the ones that are quite socially awkward where they... I didn't mean you, but I meant on a video. If you're watching...
At her.
I was looking for her approval. But yeah, you can see like the videos that are online sometimes and you're like, that person doesn't really want to be doing that, but they're just doing it because they feel like they have to get content out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is also a skill though. Like it does, like I've made many an awkward video and to this day, I still probably make many an awkward video, but it does take time to get comfortable being on camera.
Yeah.
So like, it's not always gonna be amazing straight away. I think people are way too hard on themselves straight away. They're like, I need to be like this huge major label artist for my very first post. But anyone who's ever got anywhere has always been rubbish to start with.
To be honest, that's true as well. The first time we actually had a conversation, I think you actually said to me, I think you think I put far more into this than I actually do. In terms of the content side of things anyway.
Yeah, like you have to be really quick at doing it because if you're going to spend 7 hours after a busy day working on the farm, I don't work on the farm. Yeah, like the last thing you want to, and you're doing these videos and you're editing it, it's going to really make you very miserable very quickly. At the same time, don't film something that's going to take you like 30 seconds and someone can see that you're just like on the toilet and you're just like, hey.
Actually, someone in our team's done that. Did a promotional reel from the toilet.
Person. I'm sorry.
What? You can tell me after, but I don't remember that. It wasn't me, was it?
I hope not.
Premium toilet content.
Get it on Patreon.
Yeah. But you see, make some effort, I think, like, because people kind of appreciate when you've really tried. Even if it doesn't do well, you've tried. And people like that. They like seeing someone who's really trying to throw themselves into something. But at the same time, yeah, you can't be sort of doing hours and hours of filming and editing and pulling your hair out because you will go insane.
Yeah. See?
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah. I was going to ask you actually though, can we go a bit geeky? What is your setup then? Because it looks very pro. Nice. And if it's not taking, it'd be helpful.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like I've got lots of equipment, like a lot of the stuff you've got here. Nowadays, I actually find myself coming back to just using my phone. And I think there's definitely something to be said about people scrolling through social media and they look at something that's been filmed with a really high quality camera and they think, that's someone, it's like an ad. It's like a film or TV sort of thing, scroll past it.
Right.
Versus someone just genuinely singing their heart out against it, with their like phone in their bedroom.
Yeah.
There's something about that people go like, I can really relate to this. Like my friend down the street, they're just playing a little song. So I've actually kind of scaled it back, but with the decent lighting and with the kind of thoughts of, like maybe I won't do a really unflattering angle or something, but I'll use a phone just as, I mean, it's probably worse than a lot of other people's phones, to be
But
honest.
the content looks really crisp, and it does look like it's been filmed on a really high-end camera. But I mean, we were having this conversation the other day, like iPhones or any other phone, not an ad. They're
Not sponsored.
they're so. I mean, they can if they want, but they're so good these days. Like we worked on a festival in Southend in the summer, and obviously the content that Kieran filmed obviously was fantastic as well. But I was very impressed with Axo, who's a part of the team. He just used his iPhone in like cinematic mode.
All of his stuff is.
I was like, how? Like, they made me get an iPhone.
Yeah, you made me upgrade mine. Yeah.
But yeah, they are so good. So it's just using your phone. What like mic setup as well? What are you using?
Yeah, I mean, I do. Yeah, I do. I mean, I don't want to like make it sound so like simple. Like I do sometimes make an effort. It depends on the style of video. Like I do sometimes use like a proper lapel mic, and I've got like I want to say a Canon EOS 80D or something like that with a decent lens. And it will depend on the sort of video I'm trying to make.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Like if I'm doing more of the music kind of stuff, sometimes I'll really make an effort to kind of do that with basic equipment because it really can resonate. If I'm doing maybe a more, like I've got a really important message or something, maybe I'll use a slightly more, what I describe as serious setup.
Right.
And that then translates. So there is like a time and place. But if you're a musician and you're just doing the music stuff and you're not trying to do like, I mean, you probably should do like vlog stuff as well. But yeah, like you can just use your phone. Don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it. Well, with the talking about important messages, and we said about tearing your hair out, and obviously mine's gone and yours has not. So you posted a very honest message about your hair and stuff.
Yeah.
So how did people react to that?
So yeah, I posted a video which is around like I've had like a hair transplant and I've lost hair and then it's kind of come back, and that's something where I guess I was, like social media does have an effect on you in some ways.
Sure, yeah.
I've definitely had a lot of people comment lots of things about my appearance. I try not to listen to it, but I think also with the music industry, there is also sometimes you've got to look a certain way and act a certain way, and I don't know if any of us really like it, but here we are.
I think with stuff like that though, with what you've done, I think it's like it's a testament to you to do. It's like really brave of you almost to do
be honest
that.
about
Yeah,
it.
be honest about it, because people will either hide it or keep or be really, because I know you said it was like a confidence thing when you were looking back at old videos and stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel that I mean for me, I found confidence in just getting rid of it, because I was like, it was a case that I could see it was going. I was obviously getting comments from my mates that it was going, and I just thought, do you know what? Like I'm just gonna go. And now it's like if I've got a bit of fuzz, I'm like, no, I need to get rid of it. So if I'm coming in here and doing this, I'm like, right, I've got to shave my head before I go and do that, because it's I get confidence from having no hair. So I've gone the other way with it, really.
I think there is an element of like being raw and honest. I think people, that's when I'm talking about being yourself. Even on the bad days, like, and that was something where I know a lot of people will relate to hair loss, and I know a lot of people will relate to someone just kind of being honest about it. Rather than trying to be like, no, I've never had anything done. It's all good. Yeah, like, which is like, it's almost like a culture, isn't it, in the entertainment industry?
It really is, yeah.
I'd rather be that sort of person who goes, oh, no, actually, this is what I'm like. And I've had, people message me and be like, oh, well, my husband or my partner's felt really bad about this, and it made him feel better, talking openly about it.
Yeah.
So I think, you don't have to spill everything about yourself on the internet, and there's a time and place, but if you've got something that you can talk about and it's actually real and not manufactured, that can be the recipe for content that does well, because people will connect with it.
Have you found people have connected with it? Like, how is
definitely.
it? How is it done with like reach and stuff like that? And like you said, obviously you've had messages back, which is fantastic as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd have to check the numbers, but like I definitely like had a lot of people commenting and talking about it, and it opening a discussion. And like one type of video I've done before is like a speed read challenge, which I don't want to bore people to death, but it's like, how fast can you read words changing on the screen? And within that, I also put a message about, you should leave a comment about how you're enough as a person, and you're stronger than and doing like some uplifting like messages, which maybe people need during this time where it's not always the best.
Yeah.
And even though like the content is manufactured to an extent to be like, this is a challenge. Can you read this thing? And there's my song playing in the background. There's also kind of heart behind it and real like message, and that's done well for me whenever I've kind of like, is there a way for me to make content where
It's a positive call to action.
there's a positive call to action and there's my music playing and there's an incentive to watch rather than just me being like, please listen to my music.
Yeah, it's good that you've got that, like the content there, and I think with the videos you're doing, they are authentic, and people are obviously engaging with it because like your following speaks for itself. But how is that translated into like TikTok and X and stuff like that, or is it mainly on Instagram?
My biggest platform's TikTok, and that's been weird because I got on that app just before the pandemic hit and before it became as huge as it is today.
Yeah.
So it was good timing.
It was good time. A bit, but again, it's opportunistic. Like I get emails about like music business stuff, and I remember just seeing a little article, people saying, "Oh, there's this like little app that's kind of people posting on maybe."
It's the new Vine. It's the new Vine.
And this is a time when not everybody was on there. I think at that time it was still Musically. It wasn't even TikTok. Yeah. And I was like, I'll give it a go because I and it's completely changed the trajectory of my career. And I think at that time I was making stupid comedy skits. It was absolutely nothing to do with my music at all.
Right, I need to go back.
Scroll back.
No, I need to scroll back.
I think some of them have been blitzed from the planet. But
blitzed from the planet.
So making like silly little skits, and then when I realized, these videos are, people watching these videos, I was like, can I make little songs or little funny, like, can I link the comedy aspect back to the music? So I started making especially peak pandemic kind of songs about being locked in the house, and it was almost like the Bo Burnham thing before that even became a thing. So doing like these little jingles.
I did Bo Burnham before he did it.
I'm not saying he stole it, but no, I was doing these like little sort of jingles, and then they started getting like millions of views, and I was like,
wow,
what? This is like a thing. Unfortunately, that's when the music industry was like, right, everybody get on that app. And it became like the more serious place it is. I mean, there was still a bit of people still, it's funny and stuff, but I think you have to. I'm more aware of like, this is like music industry people are watching me now. I can't necessarily. I think one video I was wearing literally like a bunny costume, singing about Easter eggs or something. I was like, maybe that's not a good. Maybe that's not what I'm trying to.
Do I want to be taken seriously in the music industry?
I mean, Cadbury's must have loved it.
Cadbury's, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is the season as well. This is the season. Get it resurfaced.
It's almost Easter.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's a translation where there was that style of content, and then I've figured out, well, now I want to promote my music more seriously as an artist. But I don't regret anything I've done because they've always been like little things that I've learned, and I've always tried different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we need to try different things.
Obviously, get your bunny costume.
I mean, I might still have it back home. So.
Yeah, if you could just go back to London and get it, that'd be really good. No, it is interesting stuff because I think like again, when people upload music to us, like I was having a flick through Instagram the other day just to see, because I was messaging people about either coming on here or different things that we've got coming up in the future. And like some of the artists, I'll tell you what it was because when I was doing my Unsigned show, when I used to send emails out and then it was just a bit of a pain. So now I just connect people on Instagram in one group and go, right, show's going out on Friday, 7 p.m. You're all on the track list. Here's the artwork, Dropbox folder, whatever. And I was going through that and I was like, that was the first time I actually looked at the following of some of the artists that were on there. And I think one of them only had like 50 followers. I was like, mate, your track's amazing. Like, and I think on one of them, like, last week or the week before, I was like, this person's got 96 followers. Like, I'm sure the people listening to this can just go and give them a follow and get them over 100 or whatever. It's hopefully the music speaks for itself and it will translate into monthly listeners, followers.
It definitely does. And I think the best kind of thing that someone ever said to me that made me feel better about numbers was, imagine those people in a room there to listen to you.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
yeah.
You can imagine 316,000 or whatever you've got. You need a stadium.
I don't think they'd fit.
That's 3 Wembleys, like stadiums.
Yeah. That's crazy when you think about it and you put it like that. But even if one person came to a show, I'd be grateful, So it's never been about the numbers. And I think also people always like trying to think of, well, how do I get bigger and how do I get this and that? Like, if you really care about the music and the kind of art of it, you don't necessarily always think about that, and that will just happen like naturally.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys care a lot with all this stuff, all the effort going to this. People will naturally just follow and join along the journey because they want to see what you guys are talking about, you know?
I think they want to see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think they just put up with us.
I'm
They're just used to us part of the furniture.
Yeah.
I'm so glad with my chair.
I'm so glad you're glad.
Social media is weird though, isn't it? I think, it's kind of so integral in some ways, but in other ways, we all just want to really just make the actual music, or just, and it's, you know, like, because I listen to like other artists as well who aren't necessarily known, and it's always crazy to me when you're like, this is such a good song,
Yeah.
and no one's listening to it, and it's great that you guys provide that platform for those artists, and they can get like somewhere to start with, something, some win, you know? It's great.
Yeah.
I find it a bit of a cognitive dissonance, actually, that I actually do half judge people straight off the bat by looking at the following, and I'm like, actually, no, I don't care. I still love that song. I love that music.
Well, I
But
don't. I mean, I don't even, like I say, we get when people upload music to us, and this is a plug. Go to futurehits.co.uk/submissions if you want to get your track uploaded. But it goes on to, you fill out your Google form. It goes on to our little spreadsheet,
I
and then
never look at the socials or the Spotify before the
you
track.
download
is
the
uploaded.
track, have a listen.
Yeah.
If we like it, it gets uploaded. And I might look at the bio and like see what genre it is, because I've got specific genres that I prefer or whatever. So I'll go through and I'll be like, oh, that would sound quite good on that show, or that might fit with that track on that show. Okay, I'll go through those. But other than that, yeah, I don't look at anything. The first time I really look at it, sometimes I'll look at it if I go, I think I heard a swear. And I go to Spotify, and then it'll be like, oh, there's no little explicit next to it. Okay, it's just probably fine. No, I think there's still a swear. Abby, can you check this?
Yep.
You're playing like a little bit on repeat. Are they swearing there?
That is genuine, 100% the true behind the scenes A&R process of Future Hits.
No, it really is. It really is. Because we have to be careful, and I'm not going to, but we have to be careful about what goes on the air. So if there's any swearing on the air, we could get fined by Ofcom and be off. And then all of this stops. So it's like, we have to be very careful. So and it even says on the form, people.
Yeah, stop ticking. There are no swear words in here.
Yeah,
There's swear
there's no
words.
explicit phrases. And then there's a big F-bomb halfway through, and you're like, mate, what are you doing? So yeah, please check.
But I suppose you have to be a little bit aware of that in like just your audience in general when you're online
Yeah.
in any capacity, right?
I mean, specifically with like swearing, I avoid it.
Yeah.
I mean, Abby will tell you, I've just got such a filthy mouth, and no, no, I mean,
Far from it. I don't think I've ever heard you swear, actually.
Don't do it now.
right, you ready? No, I mean, I'm aware of that aspect because you kind of want people from all backgrounds. I think it's a challenge. I find it. I mean, it's really cool when a song does have a swear word at like the right time. Like,
If it
"Ooh,
works.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's also just as much of a challenge to say, how do I convey a really strong emotion without leaning on that aspect of it?
Yeah.
I think Eminem said it best, but I won't repeat what he said.
Hang on.
No. But I think a friend of the show, Rob, said that as well. He said, like, sometimes it's actually...
You need it.
No, he said the opposite.
Right.
He was almost like, sometimes it's lazy to use a swear word rather than finding a word that works. But like I say, I think it has a time and a place for me. But I would suggest, if you are going to have swearing, not talking directly at you, Alto Key, because obviously you're very well behaved.
Sorry.
But if you do have swearing in your track, create a edit for radio.
Yeah.
Right? And all that has to be is you just blanking out that swear word, and that's it. That's all it has to be. And then you'll fly through the A&R process a lot quicker with all radio stations, not just us.
Yeah, 100%. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, like one of the first songs I ever wrote had a phrase, why do I chase after things just to mess it up when I'm scared?
Yeah.
Which was F.
You can.
mess.
No, really?
Yeah, but mess it just didn't feel right. Like
It didn't have
every
enough.
time- Yeah.
You're mad.
I was really mad.
So what was the line?
Why do I chase? Basically, why do I look so hard to find? That picture I have in my mind to mess it up when I'm scared.
Oh, okay. So it's like running away from something when it gets real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
then
okay.
if it's real and it feels like emotional and raw, like mess it up. It's just like, it's weak.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, you need to like some punch to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair
And there
enough.
was a really heavy bass line in that song as well. So
A heavy bass on your
Heavy bass
tracks?
line,
No
no
chance. No chance.
all right, rock.
Right, what?
All right, alt rock.
alt rock, dubstep, drum and bass. We had a drum and bass track. Who was it from? That Tainted Youth track that we got, by the way. I like that. Kathleen Ryan.
And also, did you check that? Sorry.
We can talk about music generally.
Did you check the Future Hits inbox today? New message from Matt the Vessel.
I got a message from him, but I haven't seen the inbox.
Okay.
He said, "Oh, I've sent it, but you need to check it." So, Matt, I'll check it.
Sorted.
Right. We're gonna have
listen to it in the break.
Yeah, we'll have a listen. Let's have a break.
Okay.
Turn the heaters on.
Another coffee?
Yeah, another coffee.
Cool. We'll be back for part 2.
In both, you're listening and or watching to the Soundcheck podcast, and you can support us on Patreon. And just from £3 a month, you can get
exclusive content. You can get, for the premium package, you can get a discount on PR. You can also get priority on your submissions for Future Hits Radio as well, and gig tickets, stuff like that.
And first refusal for fun things like this: interviews, gigs, behind the scenes, some video if you want it. Shout out Kieran. So yeah, go and sign up at patreon.com/Future Hits Radio. Welcome back to part 2 of the Soundcheck podcast. We are joined by Alto Key. You got another coffee?
Yeah.
Is it
I live on
nice?
coffee. Yeah. I need caffeine constantly flowing through me.
Coffee machine was a good addition to the studio, mate. Well done.
And you are the first guest, actually,
You are.
to have a coffee from our coffee machine.
That's honestly one of my biggest life achievements.
Yesterday, because we had one of our presenters in yesterday, Josh, right, who presents the Jar Booth. And Abby was like, new coffee machine. Like, Josh, would you like a coffee? He was like, no, have a cup of tea, please. She was like, ow.
I was like, well, we haven't got any milk, so you can have a bottle of water, it's fine.
So we were going to go back to talking. We've talked about social media, right? We've talked a lot about socials. And when we started off, you said about collaborations. Someone you have collaborated with is someone we've interviewed in the past, was Mr. Luke White.
Yes.
So how did that come about?
I think I harassed him, to be honest. Like,
Fair enough.
I'm always reaching out to people. Like sometimes people reach out to me with their music, or I just hear something through like different connections. And I don't really ever look, as you guys were saying, like, I don't look into like, are they particularly big or not big? Luke, I immediately heard his music and it's like, he's got such a good voice. And I had an idea for a song that I wanted to do for a while. And it was like a summer bop. And I'm like, how do I do a summer bop with 2 guys singing on it?
Also,
that's like a challenge.
Having heard Luke's music before, summer bop is probably the last kind of style.
He's always apologetic in his music, isn't he, Luke?
Yeah.
He's very folky, and he was saying, "I'm trying to move more into pop." And I was like, "I've got you. Yeah.
Stick with me.
Yeah, and no, he's a great guy, and he's like really chill. And when we did the song together, it was so like, I'm the panicky one. I'm the one who's like, all about this. And he's like, it's all good. It
Yin
sounds
and
great.
yang.
So like, I think it's really, really cool when you meet other collaborators where it just kind of works.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. I mean, there's loads of other British artists I've worked with, and anyone where I think there's a really good vibe is always like, that to me is like most important versus anything else, because when you can really be honest with someone, or we can really connect to someone, that's when like really kind of creative things can happen.
Yeah. So do you always meet up with whoever you're going to collaborate with in person before you decide, or?
I mean, I've worked with like various artists in the US as well, and we do those remote sessions. I did try for one artist, I won't mention the name. I was like, I'll fly over to LA.
and I'll put it on the business card.
I'm thinking it back now, I was like, that was a bit extreme.
And did you work with them? Or did they instantly run away?
We wrote the song, but I think they were like, we don't need to meet in person. I was like, that's fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah. But like other artists, like any opportunity, they come down to my studio, or I just show up to theirs.
Just show up.
Yeah,
uninvited.
Yeah. Uninvited.
And he's willing to get a plane ticket, evidently.
Like, you wanted the strategy behind my career, right?
No, it's working. So you carry on, yeah.
But no, and
we
like
do not condone breaking laws.
Side note. Going to gigs is a great way as well. Like, I mean, obviously, it's just such a great way to meet new people. And yeah, I think if you really connect, as I said, like the creativity kind of just flows.
Is there any genres that you haven't worked in yet that you would like to collaborate with? Do you know what I mean? Can we hear like Alto Key on a dubstep track or a rock track?
I did say to a rap artist I met at a conference,
Rap would be interesting.
Black Prez, and I was saying we could do a song like Homecoming with Kanye West and Chris Martin. I don't know if you've heard that track.
Maybe ages
but
ago.
Chris Martin's playing the piano and singing, and then the verses are rap. And I was like, that'd be so cool. Like, I'd love to do like a song like that. But it's definitely outside my like normal realm. I definitely have to have someone else write the rap parts. I can do.
I would like to hear a rap written by Alto Key.
Yeah,
That'd be...
Can that be your next reel? Actually,
It'd be very embarrassing. I can promise. So yeah, like I think, I'm not the sort of person where I'm really like, oh, I don't like that genre of music. Like, there's definitely and I'm not gonna. There's certain genres which I'm not my preferences, but if someone was to come to me with like, can we write a heavy metal song together? And it was like a really good fit. Like, I wouldn't say necessarily no. Like, it's always great to like step out of your comfort zone. You learn so much from other people, especially because I'm in like pop. I would describe it as kind of pop. It's like it ends up becoming very, very similar, a lot of that. So, I mean, Luke's a great example. I would probably class him more in the folk category.
Yeah, singer-songwriter.
Yeah. So like, he was like, oh, is this not a bit too pop? And I was like, no, it's all good. And I think when you work with people in other genres and other like kind of backgrounds, you sort of learn so much about different types of songwriting as well.
Yeah, and that hopefully will help you transition back into live performance as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Do you think we're just going to say about live performances, as I open my bottle of water and spill it on me?
I spilled tea in my hair last week. So
yeah, that's true. So do you think you'll be working with people in a collaborative sense and performing sort of almost behind the scenes to sort of build your confidence into them performing as the front man?
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like I want to make really good friends first, and
so that you can have people turn up at the gigs.
Yeah, so I at least have one person show up. But like, I feel like it's so much more fun to perform with your friends than it is to just kind of hire people for the sake of you play for me now.
Well, I think that's the thing. If you're working collaboratively with people and you're doing it as a unit or a team, that's better than surely like you said, like people coming to work for you.
I kind of love the idea of having a collective of artists within their own right, just all being each other's band.
Yeah, it's like superheroes. Like, it's a band.
Can I
called,
join?
Yeah, I mean, can you do tambourine?
I think she can do more than that. I think you've just offended her.
I will do tambourine.
I think I'm tambourine.
Yeah.
I'm tambourine and triangle. I'm TNT, mate.
I'm sorry. But yeah, like I feel if you can perform with friends. I mean, there's a band like called Fizz. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Bucks Fizz.
They're one of on my alt pop playlist.
Oh, sorry.
On our alt pop playlist.
Yeah, it's like Dodie and Orla Gartland and a few other people who are like in the British scene.
On my alt pop playlist.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they're all artists in their own right, and they came together to do a band. So like, it can definitely work. And the thing,
Like Queens of the Stone Age.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel like
but we're in pop.
Yeah, but that's more my thing.
it's okay, Matt.
You can try new
have your own
things.
thing, yeah.
Oh, you can have your own thing.
I do.
Tempt him over.
I feel like you know, it's okay to like support other people's career. I mean, that's what you guys do massively, right? There's so many people, I think, particularly like artists or front men or front women or whatever.
Front people. 2024.
Yeah, like they're in their own head about like, I need to be amazing and I'm the star of the show, and that's cool. And there's definitely a place for that because you need to be confident and believe in yourself with what you're doing. But there's also kind of this element of, if you can work with other people, you get so much more out of it, and you learn from people, and you can all grow your careers. All it takes is like one person to get a connection with another person, and then they recommend you. And
Yeah.
I've honestly had so many connections and opportunities through. I've met one person, and then they've introduced me to someone else, and you know, like, I think people need to get out of their heads a bit and like try to.
It's ego, isn't it? It's sort of like in that ego fade.
Yes, but also confidence as well.
Yeah.
On the other end of the complete opposite of that, like I would be too shy.
You don't want to be like a quivering mess, and you just like anytime any opportunity comes, I'm going, oh, I'm scared. But like at the same time, you need to be like working with people. I think like majority of my music career has honestly been opportunities through I've met the right person at the right time, and they recommended me to someone else.
Yeah,
and it's annoying if you're the sort of person where you want to just make music in your bedroom and not talk to anyone. Just like put music
I can
out in the world.
understand that.
But ultimately, marketing and putting yourself out there is like actually one of the most important things of the music career, and then talent, appearances, all these other things like are less important. To be honest, you need to be someone who people can work with and people can root for.
I think if you're working with, if you've got like 4 of you in a band as well, you're all bringing people with you as well. Do you know what I mean? But I was going to say, if you're working as a band as well, and it's more of a collective, then it's going to be a nicer working environment. But if you are the front person and then you're trying to drag people along to come and do stuff, and then you're not getting paid for gigs, and then they're having to try and do it, and then you're trying to ask them to do it for free and all that, it just can become quite difficult.
I kind of like this new model, like friends support friends, and you kind of on a rotation of who's going to be front man and whose gig it's going to be.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
But you have that in you have that in some bands. I know there's a band in my head that aren't together anymore, so I won't mention them, but they had, maybe this was the reason why, but they had certain songs that one of them would sing, and then another, this is not Oasis, but they would then have other songs that the other person would sing, and they'd swap instruments and stuff like that. I know
who you're talking about, but that was under the same brand. It's the same band. What I mean is, like, tonight Luke White's going to perform, and we've got Alto playing the keys.
See what you've done there.
It's like there's a really there was a competition that an artist put up to perform at a gig, and I went for it alongside a couple of other people, including Luke, and Luke got like the most votes on this thing, and I was like, good job, man. I was like, and I'll still go see it because he's going to perform there, and I think people appreciate that. Like, they feel like you got your back, and it's not just everything. A music industry can be very transactional. Like, someone's getting paid for this or someone's in, but it's good to be able to like build real connections with people. I think
that's what, like you said, what we try and do, obviously support people as much as we possibly can, but you know that there's certain people that you've got a bit of a soft spot for, that you see time and time again and come to the gigs and meet at networking events and stuff like that, or uploading their music, and even in the DMs and stuff. It's like, it is nice to have that personal connection, because we don't get many, and this is not a dig at anyone, but we got an email the other day from Maeve Band, saying like, thank you so much for playing us on the station, it really means a lot. And it's like, it's really nice to get that feedback sometimes, because probably similar for artists as well, like you're just putting stuff out and you're not necessarily getting too much back, so it is nice to receive those sometimes.
I mean, I'll take this moment to say thanks, guys, for playing.
Yes, cheers. I was fishing for that.
And now's your cue. No, it's amazing what you guys do for like unsigned artists and supporting people's career, I think.
But it is like Matt was saying, like, you see people out and about, like, you have gone from uploading music to us back in like November 2022, and now you've come to a few of our gigs and we've spoken quite a bit over Instagram, and it's nice to actually put a face to a name and kind of build your network and be
part of something, and be part of something as well, part of something bigger than yourself. And it's all networking, isn't it? Like you said about going to a gig, me and Lizzie went to got invited to an Alex Francis gig, and that's where I met Will Pope, and Will Pope is one of my favourite artists in the world, and he's now signed to Revolver Records.
Amazing. It can happen.
Do
you
know
what I mean? So it can happen, but it is nice to see the progression that artists make from just uploading the track on a chance to us to then,
And in fact, Fizz. So I didn't know. Was it the Dodie in Fizz? She was a singer-songwriter.
So. I hope I haven't got that wrong. You can check it afterwards.
And then cut it out if it's wrong.
Yeah, Kieran. This is your cue to edit if that is wrong. Don't worry, don't need to do anything now. But Fizz uploaded 2 Future Hits.
Really?
Previously. Yeah. And then it was 3-4 months later, and that song is one of my favourites, Close One by Fizz.
Yeah.
3 or 4 months later, I was driving back from the studio, and bear in mind I live 5 minutes away, so don't even need to drive. But
when did you drive? Oh, was it when you had the amp?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I'll let you off. So, it is massive.
Driving home, so I'm not going to have the radio on long, considering it's a 5-minute walk away. Radio 1 comes on, and that Fizz track is playing.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And I was just like, these are Future Hits, guys.
It is really nice when we see, I mean, there's quite a few of I call them our artists, and you as part of that as well. Call you our artists because you've uploaded tracks to us. So we're just taking you. But it is nice when you do see them on Future Pop or, the Rock Show or whatever. It's nice to see those artists it's not like, we're not competing against Radio 1, are we? So it's nice to...
Not yet.
But it is really cool to see that.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's a pipeline, isn't it? Like we were saying the other day. I had Sausage Machine in my head, but that's something different. Do you know what I mean, though? I don't need to know what's going on in your head.
I'm hungry. I haven't eaten dinner yet.
We got a Kit Kat Chunky. Tell us about that.
Duo. Fits in there really lovely, it does, in the car. So out of the people you've worked with so far, who's been, apart from Luke, who's been the one you're most excited about, or what collaborations in the future are you excited about?
Yeah, so like I've got a song I'm working on with Dominique Gilbert, who's known as Dominique on platforms. She's an incredible songwriter. I've worked with Beth Tabachi, who's really fun to work with. One artist I'd like, they're always kind of like the example I really get excited about, Ryan Nealon, because I literally saw their career go from them posting videos and not really necessarily, getting big exposure to them. I think like maybe 5,000 monthly listeners or something to like 250,000 monthly listeners.
Wow.
And seeing them go super viral and have lots of celebrities share, and I managed to sneak a co-write in. And he's an incredible songwriter. So like, you never know actually when you're working with whoever, where any of our careers are going to end up. So
Yeah.
that's why I think everyone can end up being like, oh, I want to work with that person because they're big on that person, but you just don't know where anyone's career is going. So that's why, I mean, even at this point or wherever I am in my career, I still work with like anyone from any level, because it's kind of like there's so much to learn from other people.
And how does that process work when you are writing with someone and producing with someone? Who do you take the lead in the production element of it, or do you go to a producer for that?
I usually work with producers just because I know my limits and know like I can produce, but like sometimes it's great to have someone to just kind of go like, this has had enough, like, and again, going back to that relationship sort of thing, you could edit a song over a course of a year 100,000 times and upset the producer, or you could kind of come to a more reasonable thing. And that's why, like, if you find a great producer, stick with them and try not to annoy them. So like, yeah, I've worked like some great producers, and I feel like in terms of songwriting, when I work with artists, I can be the sort of person who's like, hey, I'm the star of the show, I'm going to lead this session. You kind of just, or I've sometimes taken a back seat, kept my mouth shut and seen what someone thinks, but at the heart of it, usually there's always an element of what's a real story or something we can share that's a bit more unique than just saying, let's write a love song or let's write a breakup song. Like, what are you going through right now? Oh, that's something that I can relate to. Well, let's dive into that. So sometimes it can get quite personal, and I try not to be like really like poking people at like their very personal issues, but songs, at least for me, or at least the sort of stuff I do, real songs come from that place of like raw kind of feelings. So a lot of it's me poking people in sessions, being like, come on, like let's write about you, not like write about what you think you should write about.
Yeah.
That seems to be a common theme so far on this podcast. When we talk about songwriting, everyone says the same thing. It's got, if it means something to them, and normally we'd agree that we can feel when it means something.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's always element. I mean, there's like in the songwriting world, you sometimes have like briefs, and you write a brief to this thing, and you might be like limited as to what you could do, but there's also an element of still, but how can I relate to that? How can I put my own signature on that thing? So like a huge part of the songwriting, honestly, is just sitting around and annoying the other songwriters to be like, what can we write about that's real? And then usually the song just kind of flows. Like it just kind of naturally falls out, because like, oh, like I've got so much I can say about this topic.
Do you find that it's easy? Because with like writing sessions, I imagine a lot, because we spoke to loads of bands and artists and stuff, and they're usually over voice notes and stuff like that. Are you talking more about literally being in the same room together and having, how does a writing session work? Because I've never been in one. Is it a case of you go, right, we're going to spend all weekend doing this, or do you have like a few spread out over the course of a few weeks or whatever?
Yeah, it depends. Like usually, like I've got hundreds of voice notes on my phone, which are clogging up my storage space. So sometimes in the shower, I just have like, oh, that sounds like a nice thing.
You've got to get it down.
Yeah, quickly record something, and then I might bring that to a session. Or I'll literally just talk to someone like, almost like therapy. How are you doing? Like what are you thinking about? And then we break that down, and then like, oh, that'd be so cool to just get that lyric in. Like, for example, one of the songs I was talking about, I did a co-write with Ryan Nealon. And we talked, actually ties nicely into what you were saying before. Like I talked about having a hair transplant, and he was literally like, you should put that in the chorus. You should literally put lower my hairline. And like, I think the lyric was like, so I'll lower my hairline and I'll lose some weight. Like, get a doctor to fix everything out of place was like the lyric. And, it was really nice to be like, oh, we're not going to try and put a generic thing in there. We're just going to literally get to the point.
Yeah,
And I think that's the hardest thing to overcome with artists is like, how do we actually share that thing? At the same time, you know, I'm not going to put like, and this is my exact address. And, you know, you don't want to be like so...
These are my bank details.
Yeah. You don't want to be so specific that it's kind of like completely unrelatable to people. But like, you know, if you can get that sweet spot for like, here's something that other people can relate to, but it's also very, very personal.
Yeah.
That's what I think makes some of the best songs ever made, to be honest.
I think with that lyric, it's obviously about being potentially not comfortable in your own skin and being insecure.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot out there for female body positivity. We had Lex on Lex in last week, and we were talking about the amount of stuff she does for that. You don't really hear it from a bloke's perspective too often. So I think that doing a lyric like that would hopefully ring true to a lot of guys.
Be interesting, isn't it? When it would eventually get it all produced and stuff.
Yeah, it would.
I think people shouldn't be afraid. Like there's plenty of music out there. If you're worried, there's plenty of music out there which covers the more kind of
generic
general stuff. So if you want to make your mark and you're not a known artist, just put those really raw lyrics in. Lyrics. There's someone called Simon Robert French. I hope I've got the name right. And they posted writing a song every day for like 365 days. Jeez. And not just like a little, I mean, we talked about social media earlier. That's like, I wouldn't be able to do that. That's insane.
I tried doing a photo a day for a year and I gave up after 3 weeks.
So imagine writing, and not even just like a little bit of a song. They were doing a solid 3-minute song every single day. And eventually one just went viral because it was just such a very specific thing.
Yeah.
If you want an example of like a musician doing it right, it's crazy. Like I literally saw that happen from not being known to I think getting a lot of industry attention for their song going really viral. And I think in the end they just uploaded a voice note to Spotify, and that's what people were listening to, not the super produced thing with all the money thrown at it. It was just the voice note on the phone, just as it was like in the video, and it had loads and loads of streams.
Well, like you said earlier about getting that right soundbite, and that's something that could take you viral. I mean, there's a favourite soundbite that we mentioned the other week, which is like, I'm just a baby.
Oh, yeah.
Like even just like stupid like that.
That comes up pretty much all the time now.
It really does. Like so my daughter got home from school the other day and I got a notification on my Ring doorbells like saying, someone's at your front door. And I clicked on it. And I saw her there, and there was someone walking in the background. I went, I'm just a baby. And then she was like, and I went, and I walked into the house. I was like, you all right? And she was like, yeah, there was someone right behind me. What are you doing? It's so embarrassing.
It's just going to get worse.
That's a dad's prerogative, isn't it? Surely.
So
I guess you never know. Is what we're saying.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. I mean, I'll tell you one. I mean, I have not got the following you have or the success online at all, but I will give you an example, right? So when we've done podcasts, not even this podcast, other podcasts in the past, or we've done videos at gigs or whatever, the ones that really take a long time, right? And we cut them down, we try and make them look perfect and all the rest of it. So much work and effort can go into them and nothing happen, right? Yeah. The most successful TikTok video I've had was of just there was someone it was at the Houses of Parliament, and there was just some policeman getting in the way of Sky News camera, being a real idiot, right? Being like really huffing and puffing and getting in the way, like, you can't film here. And it's like, well, we can because we're Sky. Anyway, I filmed that and I put it to the Curb Your Enthusiasm music. Right. And that got 250,000 views. Mm-hmm. That's the most successful thing I've ever done. And it took me 30 seconds.
Well, in social media, not
oh yeah.
Of all your achievements.
No, I put my children at the top of that, but then that was a close second. But it's mad, like spending like hours doing some things, and that's what, even with like doing my track lists on a Friday for Unsigned, it's me just chatting to my phone. I'll put a green screen on it, put the track list on, and it does all right. Yeah. But if I did say that it took ages, it's a flop. I don't. What I'm saying, I don't get the algorithm. I don't quite understand what sometimes can take off and what can't. Some things that I think that's stupid, that won't do anything. If I include my dog, it does quite well.
I was going to say, I'm here for the poppy content.
It's like none of us really know. Yeah, no matter what advice I can give or anyone can give, if we all knew the formula, we'd all be huge global superstars. You know, like
One day.
One day.
But I just don't. I don't think I post enough anyway. Really, like I'm like I'll do a few, and then it'll be like, I can't be asked.
All or nothing.
Yeah, pretty much. We were talking in the break very briefly about release plans and what have you got? What do you think the sweet spot is? So for 2024, what would you say your release plan is?
Definitely release singles. Like, you don't need to have your first thing you ever release be a compilation album of, you know, your best work. Like, it's always good to have a single to promote, and whether that's then part of a bigger project like an EP or an album, you at least have something that's already got traction. I try to release a few times a year. I feel like that's probably the minimum. If I had the time, which maybe I will at some point, I'd like to release more. But at the same time, if you were to release every few weeks or every month, you're almost like watering down the art, like, because it's not special if you're posting it like non-stop. But one thing I do, like, is I write songs and I post them anyway, or like, you know, at least stripped back versions of them or a little bit of it.
Yeah.
And then that's like a great tool for getting feedback. It's like, should I actually produce this song properly or not?
Well, a lot of artists get feedbacks from gigs and live performances, so which you're not doing. So
that's been my thing. Like, one of my most successful songs, The Day We Met, was because I did a like little jingle, which was the lyrics. It was over another copyrighted song, which I won't mention, but the lyrics to that were like, the day we met, I'd not have bet we would have met, or something, you know, something like that. And it went really viral. Like, people kept using that sounds partly because of the familiarity of the song, the melody that I was singing it to, but also because it was like, oh, I can share, like, when did I meet my pets for the first time, my babies, or things like that. So then I took that concept, I was like, well, how would I, one, make this my own song rather than doing it to the melody of another popular song? But also, how do I put my own twist on that? And I wanted to, like, write a song which was, you know, could be like a wedding-y song, or could be kind of for my partner, you know, how did we meet and how lucky it was that we met. So I took something that was successful on social media, flipped it, and then that's one of my most popular songs now. And, you know, people are sharing it for different reasons. So, like, you can use social media as like this almost like tool to kind of play with ideas, and then that doesn't need to be the actual final song. That's not the final product, you know.
It's interesting because I would say most songs are done the opposite way. They produce a song, put it on, and then try and get it to go viral on TikTok for one reason or another. But you've flipped it.
That's what I've been like. People want something. The job of an artist is to give them that thing. So you can spend 1 billion hours in the studio trying to write 100 of the best songs ever made, and you might hit lucky with one of them, or try to use your audience and try to understand what are they actually looking for, like what ages are they in. You know, like, a lot of my audience is like people in the 20s, early 30s. So, like, I write songs which will appeal to them. Might not write songs at this point which are about me being 15 or 16, you know, like, unless there was a way to, like, nostalgic sort of thing looking back. But from that point of view, like, I feel like people miss out the mark there. They don't sort of analyze the data behind it, or even, as you said, like, in terms of live performances, who's showing up, what sort of people are there, what do they want to listen to, like, what's their other artists they enjoy. Can you make something like that but your own spin on it?
Right, so I'm going to ask you a few more questions before we wrap up, right?
Okay.
So, first of all, you said you're working with an artist at the moment. Do you know when your next release will be coming out, roughly?
Yeah, I'm hoping end of March will be the next one.
Yeah, you're allowed to say, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the next few months, I mean, after that, I'll probably have another one. As I said, I try to release a few times a year.
Yeah, each quarter.
Yeah,
each season.
Yeah.
Each season.
First season.
In regards to live performances, so obviously you haven't done many yet, but is there a plan to try and get into doing a live performance maybe in the summer or something?
Yeah, I would love to try to get into it this year. I don't put, like, a gun to my head and
I won't do that.
No, we need an official exclusive right here, right now.
I mean, as long as you guys are happy to play in the band, like, you know, we can.
One of us will.
Yeah, be him on the
it won't be me.
Get the tambourine going. But yeah, it'd be great to perform this year. But my entire career is always kind of just just a series of kind of events. So we'll see where it gets to, I think.
What would be your favourite venue that you visited in London? You're very good at networking. You obviously came to the El Queen's Head like we mentioned earlier, but if you go to lots of gigs in London, which one would you want to see yourself playing in?
Eventually, or like straight away?
Why not both? Why not both?
I went to, not for a music thing, but I know they do music stuff there. Coco's really weird. It's quite cool, isn't it? 'Cause
Yeah.
it's very like red in there and it's very like interesting. So I don't know what that would be like performing, but I think they're quite cool.
Okay. Is this your starter?
I don't know.
Starter gig?
That would be.
Start a
I
venue.
think
I was going to say it's quite a big venue.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see. But to be honest, I'm not like I try to be humble with this sort of thing. If I was to perform in a cupboard and someone showed up, I'd be very grateful. You know, I don't.
Squeeze. And you won't have room for a band in there.
Yeah, it might be hard.
Just Luke, like.
Help me. Yeah.
And then lastly, then, how out of the artists that you have collaborated with, if you're going to create a band, who would be in the band? And you haven't got to
I thought
include
you
me.
was going to ask, who was your favourite?
No, who was the worst to work with? You can tell us that after.
I mean, any of the collaborators I've worked with, I'd be grateful for like Luke or are we talking like bigger stars or like?
Yeah, anyone. I mean, because obviously you've worked with a lot. What have I done? I sat on the cable. So you've obviously worked with a lot of artists, like, you know, emerging artists or ones that have obviously taken off a bit as well. But if you were putting a band together
For your debut gig at Coco's.
If I could pick anyone, just like get the bassist from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
No, I wasn't going down that line. I was thinking more like
I'm going to assemble the greatest musicians of all time. And
Queens of the Stone Age and Alto Key.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll respond to your DM?
I think they won't.
There was some
But I
hesitancy.
can try.
Like, maybe. Why not?
Honestly, it'll be people that I've collaborated with in some way, because they're just having a friend to look over at on stage and be like, hey, you're here, and like, hey, like that to me means way more than here's someone who's technically very, very proficient. And I think people kind of see that vibe, and it's why like bands like Coldplay, people like seeing them together and how they all interact.
Yeah.
So like that sort of camaraderie is really important to me. So that's why I'm. It's not that I'm being slow trying to get into live. I'm just like observing.
You're trying to find the right. You've already said your career has been about moments and trying to find, you know, and living off those moments and stuff. And if it's a case that the moment hasn't yet developed, maybe it's not meant to yet.
Exactly. And I mean, it's worked for me so far. So
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
it's always best not to try. I mean, be opportunistic. Sorry, coughing. Be opportunistic and try to, get any opportunity you can. But at the same time, don't really try to force something. Like, you should kind of learn as much as you can. I think people try to assume they're like the best at everything they do. Like, don't try to learn from other people.
Well, you said earlier about being humble about
about
things and learning from people, and I think you're a good influence on people, hopefully, that are watching, but also a good example of how to do it, because I think that people will probably learn quite a bit from what you've said tonight.
Yeah, and I feel like you're just a positive role model in general. Do you not think?
It's because
No.
I'm crying to myself at home
Such is right.
every night. So like, I get all the positive stuff out now. Like all the hot.
It's just for camera.
It's all for show.
Please don't say that.
Honestly, like, it is about the chemistry, and it is all about like being a nice person. You get quite far being nice to other people, especially in the music industry, which is actually quite small.
Yeah.
When you really break it down.
Well, it's funny because even with dealing with the artists we deal with, there's so many links along the way.
Crossovers.
So many
this person plays in
crossovers.
this band. Even the fact that we had a conversation, and then you're quite good friends with Luke, who
We knew, we met ages ago,
I've known for a while. Yeah. So it's just
It's crazy.
It is mad. It is a small industry. We're going to wrap up, but before we do, not that you need the help on socials. If anything, we need your help. But could you tell people where they can find your music and find you on the socials, please?
Yeah, search for Alto Key. You'll find stuff at Alto Key Music. If you just Google that, you'll find something.
there you go. And tips for us: how do we close up a podcast episode?
That is really putting him on the spot. I think if anything, we
Where's
could.
the king?
The Kit Kat story that Matt was telling us in the break.
No, that's Patreon content.
That's Patreon
only.
content. Talking of Patreon, if you want exclusive content, go to our Patreon, patreon.com/Future Hits Radio, I think. So go and check that out.
Maybe tip number 1, get your links right.
Get your links right. Go and follow us on the socials at Future Hits Radio. You can obviously follow the podcast at _soundcheckpod. Submit your music via the website, futurehits.co.uk. Anything else?
I think you've covered it.
I think I've covered it. There's also a gig that's gone live that's going to be at the Rossi Bar in Brighton. So if you are in the Brighton area, go and check out tickets for that. Quarter sold already at time of recording. They might have even gone by the time this goes out, but go and check them out for more gigs coming soon.
futurehits.co.uk/events.
There you go. Lots of information there for you. But we're going to go now. Thanks very much for watching. Thank you very much for coming in. Really appreciate it. And good luck with the rest of the year. And we look forward to your release with Dominique.
Amazing. All right. Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Bye, everyone. See you soon.